Okay, enough of that. Enough of that. Let's just go on with something. It's kind of hot in here. I was just thinking about something. About perception. You know, perception changes. You know, the way I perceive the world now is a lot different than the way I perceived it yesterday. Just even 24 hours ago. Not that anything extraordinary happened, but just, I think that's true for all of us. Our perception is constantly changing as we have experiences. And that's one of the reasons why I like to explore things. And I like to look at things and, you know, have different experiences. Do things. You have a different view of stuff. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I like to travel so much. You know, I like to go to another part of the world, interact with people from different cultures, and learn a lot of things. And get a different perspective on things. And actually listen to people. You know, I was thinking, when I was in another job, I was talking to a coworker who's Muslim. And we were talking about different things. And, you know, just to see the world from her perspective is interesting. It's just interesting. I wonder how many people actually take the time to actually talk to people who have a different point of view. Actually talk to people and actually listen to people who have a different perspective. Sometimes I learn to just be quiet and listen. And not just assume that I'm right about something. You know, I'm always questioning my own conclusions. Sometimes I wonder, am I right in what I'm saying? You know, should we really follow our instincts? Should we really follow our intuitions? I don't know. But I know that I do. I know that I do follow my feelings. And I do follow them. You know, sometimes when I feel something's right, I'll do it. If I feel that something is wrong, then I say, I start to question it. You know, ultimately, am I right or wrong? I don't know. But I do question a lot of things. I'll look back after I did something. I'll evaluate it. And I said, okay, yeah, that didn't work. You know, a lot of times in life you do things. Life is kind of like a big experiment, so to speak. It's like the video I made called One Big Playground. You know, life is a big playground. YouTube, as I was saying in that video, it's a big playground. Where you test out ideals. You see if they work. You see if an ideal works. Sometimes I have a very strong feeling something's going to work. And it doesn't. But you know what? I have this feeling, and I'm going to say this because I used to think about this a long time ago. I say this. I always say that your feelings are always right, even if things don't work out. I could give a lot of examples. I think there's one thing I like to do is I always like to give examples. I remember when I tried out for the White Sox, and I did try out for them a long time ago. And, you know, this was my second tryout in that same year. Although I went to another tryout, like with a multi-team thing. They had this tryout in a park. And they had different people from different teams. Some people from the New York Yankees, the Cincinnati Reds, the White Sox, the Cubs. And other scouts from other places they were watching as we pitched. You know, I was the person who was pitching. And, you know, I did really terrible. But then I had a second chance to try out again a few months later, and I made some adjustments. And I remember, even before I tried out, I thought to myself, I said, you know what, no matter what happens, you know, I can't really complain. I can't really say that everything was bad, because I really enjoy what I'm doing. And that's what mattered more than anything else. And I remember when I was out in Comiskey Park, in the old Comiskey Park, trying out, and I felt really good about what I was doing. I followed what I was feeling. I was doing what I had always wanted to do. And that was like this dream come true, to at least, even if I'm just in a bullpen out there pitching, you know, to some scout who's watching. I said, well, at least I can say I did pitch in Comiskey Park. And I enjoyed that. To me, it was the most joyful experience. I think one of the most joyful experiences I've had. One of the most joyful. maybe not the most joyful, but I really enjoyed that. And I followed my feelings. I followed my gut. And I just did what I wanted to do. And it was a wonderful experience. I've done so many things that were like that. You know, I think about when I went to France, I just did something just on, you know, I had this moment in an instant, said, yes, I'm going to go to France. It was like right after I finished reading the book Being in Nothingness, and I thought, well, I got to do something just to celebrate this moment. Because, you know, I was reading that book off and on for about 15 years, you know, and I finally finished the last page, and I said, I'm going to go to Paris. I made that decision, and then it was actually about a little bit more than a year from the time I made that decision to the time I was actually on the plane headed to Paris. But, you know, I follow my feelings. I follow my dreams. I do what I like to do, what I really enjoy. And I feel, you know, I'm going to say this. I'm not going to say I feel sorry for people who don't do this, but I just think that there are a lot of people who don't follow what they feel. They don't, as what Joseph Campbell was saying, I was looking at the thing about what he was talking about, myths and mythology. And, you know, I love Joseph Campbell's work. I really do. But, you know, if you don't follow your bliss, you're really in a sad place in life. Follow your bliss. Do the things you really want to do. You know, don't look at your life and say, you know, I never really did what I wanted to do. I did what I was supposed to do. I followed the rules. I did everything the way I'm supposed to do it. You know, I don't want to say that. Even if some people can laugh at it and sort of look at this as crazy and say that, you know, I'm crazy. I don't care. I do what I enjoy doing. And if I'm enjoying life, that's all that counts. And if that makes me selfish and self-centered and uncaring, and if people want to label me that way, you know, all I can say is that labels exist for the benefit of the labeler, not for the one being labeled. And that's one thing that I really understand that. I really do. I know the one thing, though, that's true when I make my videos is always speak my mind and always say what I'm really thinking and what I really feel. And don't be phony. And that's all. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I will do. I will speak my mind. And sometime I'll look back at some of the videos and say, well, maybe I changed my mind on that. Because as I said before, my perception of reality always changes. I'm changing. You know, I think about what Emerson said. A foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds. You know, when people speak their mind one moment and then they have to stay where they were and they can't change and they can't alter what they think and they can't alter their position. Sometimes I change my mind. I'll look back and say, well, I thought that was a good idea then, but I changed my mind. So that's the way it is. That's all I have to say.